Before you spend another penny, stop and check your pocket change. One ordinary-looking wheat penny could be worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars to the right collector. What if I told you that a single penny sitting in an old coffee can, forgotten coin jar, or dusty drawer could be worth more than a luxury home? It sounds unbelievable, but every year, collectors discover ordinary-looking coins hiding extraordinary secrets. And today, we're uncovering one of the most fascinating examples, the 1944 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat 1-cent penny. At first glance, it looks like just another old copper penny that millions of Americans have handled. But hidden among these common coins are incredibly rare varieties and spectacular minting errors that have stunned the numismatic world. While most people spend these pennies without a second thought, experienced collectors carefully inspect every detail because one tiny difference can transform a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure treasure. Before you dismiss the pennies in your pocket, ask yourself one question. What if you've already owned one of these valuable coins and spent it without ever realizing what it was worth? That's exactly what makes this story so fascinating. Every day, valuable coins continue to circulate unnoticed because they blend in with ordinary pocket change. A collector sees history. A spender sees 1 cent. That single difference in perspective has created countless stories of incredible discoveries. Somewhere in America, a forgotten coin collection, inherited family album, or old piggy bank may still contain one of these remarkable Lincoln Wheat pennies waiting to be discovered. And if you know exactly what to look for, you could recognize something that thousands of others have overlooked. The story begins in 1944 during one of the most important periods in American history. World War II was still raging, and the United States Mint was working around the clock to produce billions of coins needed for daily commerce. Just 1 year earlier, in 1943, Lincoln cents had been struck from zinc-coated steel because copper was desperately needed for wartime ammunition and military equipment. Those steel cents became one of the most famous coins in American history. But in 1944, the mint returned to using copper by recycling spent shell casings from the war effort. These recycled brass shell cases gave the 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny its distinctive appearance and historical significance. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents in 1944, and unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, these pieces carried no mint mark beneath the date. That's why collectors refer to them as the 1944 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny. On the surface, this seems like a common coin. Millions survived. Most are worth only a small premium over face value. But hidden among those ordinary examples are extraordinary minting mistakes that collectors have spent decades trying to locate. Now here's where things become incredibly exciting. Don't just remember the date. Look carefully at every detail. If you have a jar of old pennies nearby, this is the perfect moment to pause and check it. You never know what might be hiding inside. The first feature serious collectors examine is the coin's overall color. Genuine 1944 Lincoln cents were struck in a bronze alloy made primarily of copper. Most examples display beautiful reddish-brown or chocolate-brown surfaces after decades of circulation. Coins that retain their original bright red mint color are dramatically scarcer because copper naturally darkens over time. A fully red mint state example can command prices many times higher than an ordinary circulated coin simply because so few survived in pristine condition. Next comes strike quality. During periods of heavy production, dies gradually wore down, creating weaker details on Lincoln's portrait and the wheat ears on the reverse. But sharply struck coins with crisp lettering, bold wheat lines, and strong facial details are highly desirable because they represent exceptional production quality. Collectors often pay significant premiums for outstanding eye appeal combined with excellent preservation. Now let's move into the world of mint errors, where values can increase dramatically. One of the most famous is the double die obverse. This occurs when the working die receives multiple slightly misaligned impressions during production, creating visible doubling on the inscriptions. Look closely at the words, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date. Strong separation between the letters can indicate a valuable double die variety. Even modest examples attract strong collector demand, while dramatic doubling can command astonishing prices. Another highly collectible error is the repunched mint mark. But since today's coin has no mint mark, collectors instead focus on die varieties unique to Philadelphia production. Die cracks, die chips, and dramatic die breaks create unusual raised lines and blobs across the coin's surface. These are not damage. They're fingerprints left behind by worn or damaged dies inside the mint itself. Certain dramatic die states have developed loyal followings because every coin tells the story of a die slowly failing under tremendous production pressure. Then there are off-center strikes. Imagine a coin entering the coining press slightly misaligned. Part of the design fails to appear while the remaining image shifts dramatically toward one edge. The greater the off-center percentage while still showing the full date, the more desirable the coin becomes. These striking errors are visually stunning and often command impressive premiums. Broad strike errors are equally fascinating. Without the retaining collar properly securing the planchet during striking, the coin expands outward, becoming wider than normal while losing its standard raised rim. Because these errors are immediately recognizable, they're highly sought after by error collectors. Clipped planchets also deserve attention. Before striking, blank planchets are punched from large metal sheets. Occasionally, a blank overlaps the edge of a previously punched hole, leaving a curved section missing. This creates the famous curved clip error. Authentic examples display specific metal flow characteristics that experienced collectors use to separate genuine mint errors from post-mint damage. Here's another question. Have you ever picked up an old penny simply because it looked different? Sometimes that's exactly how life-changing discoveries begin. Now we arrive at the legendary rarity that fuels dreams across the collecting community, the 1944 steel Lincoln cent. Although today's focus is the standard 1944 no-mint mark bronze penny, a tiny number of leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally remained inside the presses when bronze production resumed. The result was one of the greatest mint errors ever created. A 1944 Lincoln cent struck on a steel planchet instead of bronze. Only a handful are known, making them among the rarest American coins ever produced. Imagine finding what appears to be a silver-colored 1944 penny. Most people would assume it had been plated or damaged, but an informed collector would immediately reach for a magnet. A genuine 1944 steel cent is magnetic, unlike the normal bronze version. That simple test has helped identify coins worth extraordinary amounts of money. This is why experienced collectors never rely on appearance alone. Weight matters. Composition matters. Magnetism matters. Strike characteristics matter. Authentication matters. Every tiny detail contributes to determining whether a coin is merely interesting or historically significant. Now let's talk about preservation, because condition often determines whether a coin is worth a few dollars or hundreds of thousands. Professional grading services evaluate coins using the internationally recognized Sheldon scale from poor 1 to mint state 70. Higher grades indicate fewer contact marks, stronger luster, sharper strikes, and superior eye appeal. A common circulated coin may remain affordable, while a virtually flawless mint state survivor becomes exceptionally valuable because so few escape circulation untouched. Many collectors also search for full wheat ear details, vibrant original luster, smooth surfaces free of corrosion, and natural toning. Coins that have been cleaned, polished, or altered usually lose significant collector value because originality is one of the most prized qualities in numismatics. If you've inherited old coins from parents or grandparents, don't clean them. It might seem like you're improving their appearance, but cleaning often removes original surfaces that collectors value most. Sometimes leaving a coin exactly as it was found preserves thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars in potential value. So what about the incredible auction prices that capture headlines? Exceptional examples of rare varieties and spectacular mint errors continue to generate intense competition whenever they appear for sale. The combination of historical importance, rarity, outstanding preservation, and collector demand can produce astonishing results. Certain elite examples associated with extraordinary minting mistakes have reached estimated market values approaching an incredible $522,000 under the right conditions. These prices represent the absolute pinnacle of rarity, authentication, provenance, and collector competition rather than ordinary circulation pieces. That's an important distinction every collector should understand. Today's rare coin market remains stronger than many people realize. Wealthy collectors continue pursuing trophy coins because true rarity cannot be manufactured. Every year, the number of surviving high-grade examples becomes effectively smaller as important collections are permanently absorbed into long-term holdings. When an elite specimen finally reaches auction, determined bidders often compete aggressively for the opportunity to own a unique piece of American history. Think about that for a moment. A coin originally intended to buy almost nothing could eventually become worth hundreds of thousands of dollars simply because of a tiny manufacturing mistake made more than 80 years ago. History, rarity, preservation, and demand have combined to transform humble pocket change into one of America's most exciting collectible assets. So before you ignore that old penny sitting on your dresser tonight, take another look. Check the date. Examine the color. Inspect the lettering. Look for doubling, unusual shapes, striking errors, and exceptional preservation. Compare its weight if something seems unusual. And if you ever discover a silver-colored 1944 Lincoln cent that responds to a magnet, stop immediately and have it professionally authenticated. That single decision could change everything. The next time someone tells you that pennies aren't worth picking up, you'll know better. Sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest surprise. The difference between 1 cent and a life-changing discovery often comes down to knowledge, patience, and paying attention to details that everyone else ignores. And believe it or not, the 1944 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat Penny isn't even the rarest treasure hiding in old collections. In our next episode, we'll reveal another ultra-rare American coin with an astonishing backstory, mysterious minting errors, and auction records that have shocked even veteran collectors. You won't want to miss that incredible discovery, because the next hidden fortune could already be waiting in your pocket change. What if I told you that an ordinary-looking 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny could be worth as much as $600,000? It sounds impossible. After all, most people see pennies as the smallest and least valuable coins in their pocket. They toss them into jars, leave them in cup holders, or spend them without a second thought. But here's the shocking truth. Every single day, rare coins quietly disappear back into circulation because someone didn't know what they were holding. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck, it's knowledge. While one person buys a cup of coffee with an ordinary-looking penny, another recognizes a hidden treasure that could completely change their financial future. So before you dismiss that old penny lying in your drawer, stay with me, because today's story could make you look at every Lincoln Wheat cent in a completely different way. The 1953 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat 1-cent penny is one of those fascinating coins that continues to capture the attention of serious collectors across America. At first glance, it appears completely ordinary. Abraham Lincoln's portrait looks familiar. The wheat ears on the reverse seem no different from countless other wheat pennies. Yet beneath that ordinary appearance lies a coin with the potential for extraordinary value when the right combination of rarity, preservation, and minting errors comes together. While millions of 1953 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, only a tiny fraction survive today in exceptional condition, and an even smaller number exhibit dramatic mint errors that transform them into legendary collectibles. Most people don't realize that coins produced by the Philadelphia Mint during 1953 carried no mint mark. That means the absence of a mint mark isn't an error by itself. It is exactly how these coins were intended to be produced. However, what separates an ordinary 1953 Philadelphia Wheat Penny from an extraordinary one are the manufacturing mistakes that occurred during the minting process. These accidental errors create one-of-a-kind coins that collectors spend years trying to locate. Now here's something that many collectors overlook. Go check your coin jar right now. Seriously, takes less than a minute. You might have inherited an old collection from a parent or grandparent without realizing its significance. Even if you don't find a fortune today, developing the habit of checking every wheat penny could eventually lead to an incredible discovery. That's exactly how many valuable coins have been found, completely by accident. One of the most valuable characteristics to search for is a strong double die variety. During the die manufacturing process, a slight misalignment can create noticeable doubling on the lettering, the date, or portions of Lincoln's portrait. Unlike ordinary machine doubling, A genuine doubled die is part of the die itself, meaning every coin struck from that die carries the same distinctive appearance. Sharp doubling on words like liberty, in God we trust, or the date can instantly increase collector demand. Another highly sought-after error is an off-center strike. During production, if the coin blank shifts out of position before being struck, part of the design may be missing while the remaining design appears dramatically offset. Depending on how far off-center the strike occurred, and whether the date remains visible, these coins can become extremely desirable. Collectors appreciate dramatic mint mistakes because each one represents a unique moment inside the mint that was never supposed to happen. Then there are broad strikes. Without the retaining collar properly holding the planchet during striking, the coin spreads outward, producing a larger diameter with softer edges. Although broad strike errors are uncommon, well-preserved examples often attract competitive bidding whenever they appear at auction. Die cracks and retained die breaks offer another exciting opportunity. As production dies wear down after striking thousands of coins, stress fractures begin to appear. These cracks leave raised lines across the finished coin. In advanced stages, sections of the die can break away entirely, creating impressive raised metal formations known as cuds. Every additional crack tells part of the story of a die approaching the end of its useful life. Collectors also search carefully for clipped planchets. These unusual coins begin with improperly punched blanks where part of the metal is missing before striking even begins. The finished penny displays a curved section missing from its edge, making it instantly recognizable. Genuine examples with clear striking details are far more valuable than damaged coins altered after leaving the mint. Another fascinating error involves lamination flaws. Occasionally, impurities within the metal mixture cause thin layers of the coin's surface to peel or separate during striking. These natural flaws are completely different from ordinary environmental damage and can significantly increase collector interest when authenticated. Perhaps one of the rarest discoveries would be a dramatic die clash. This occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a coin between them. The resulting impressions may transfer faint portions of one design onto the opposite die, producing mysterious extra design elements that should never appear on a normal coin. Finding a strong die clash on a 1953 wheat penny is enough to excite even experienced numismatists. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually examined a penny instead of spending it? Most people never do. That's exactly why hidden treasures continue to slip through everyday transactions. Somewhere in America today, someone is unknowingly carrying a potentially valuable wheat penny in their wallet, completely unaware of what they're holding. Condition is where the story becomes even more remarkable. Coin grading plays a massive role in determining value. A heavily circulated 1953 no-mint mark wheat penny may be worth only a small premium over face value. But when a coin survives for more than 70 years with blazing original mint luster, crisp strike details, and almost no contact marks, everything changes. Collectors competing for the highest certified grades are often willing to pay extraordinary prices for coins that represent the very best known examples. Professional grading services examine every microscopic detail before assigning an official grade. They evaluate strike quality, surface preservation, original color, luster, and eye appeal. A difference of just one grade point can sometimes mean thousands of dollars in additional market value. That's why experienced collectors always recommend handling valuable coins only by their edges and avoiding cleaning them under any circumstances. Ironically, attempting to make an old coin look shiny can destroy much of its collectible value. Here's where things become especially interesting. The rarest and most dramatic mint error examples don't simply compete with ordinary wheat pennies. They enter an entirely different marketplace filled with elite collectors searching for coins that almost never become available. When two determined bidders pursue the same spectacular error coin, prices can climb far beyond published estimates. That's one reason why auction records continue surprising even seasoned professionals. Imagine opening an old family coin album that hasn't been touched in decades. Between faded photographs and forgotten keepsakes sits a single 1953 wheat penny that nobody thought was special. Under magnification, the doubling appears unmistakable. The surfaces remain nearly flawless. Certification confirms an important mint error. Suddenly, what looked like an ordinary 1-cent coin becomes the centerpiece of a major auction. Stories like these are rare, but they do happen, and they continue inspiring collectors across the country. Now here's a quick reality check. Not every 1953 no-mint mark wheat penny is worth thousands of dollars, and certainly not every example reaches six-figure territory. The highest values are generally associated with exceptionally preserved coins featuring significant, authenticated mint errors or extraordinary rarity. Headlines mentioning values approaching $600,000 typically refer to elite, one-of-a-kind examples that combine remarkable condition with highly desirable characteristics. That's exactly why authentication and professional grading are so important before making assumptions about value. Even so, the excitement surrounding Lincoln Wheat Pennies has never completely faded. As more collectors enter the hobby and the supply of premium examples remains limited, competition continues growing. Every year, more ordinary coins are lost, damaged, or permanently removed from circulation, making exceptional survivors increasingly difficult to obtain. Here's another challenge for you. After this video ends, spend just 10 minutes checking every old penny you own. Look through your desk drawer. Search your coin jar. Ask your parents or grandparents if they still have an old collection stored away. You may not discover a $600,000 rarity today, but you might begin a hobby that connects history, detective work, and the thrill of hidden treasure in a way few other hobbies can match. The incredible story of the 1953 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny reminds us that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes extraordinary treasures hide behind the most ordinary appearance. A single cent, ignored for decades, can suddenly become the focus of worldwide collector attention simply because of a tiny mistake made during the minting process over 70 years ago. That's what makes coin collecting so captivating. Every coin tells a story, and every collection holds the possibility of an unexpected discovery. So the next time someone tells you that pennies aren't worth picking up, remember this story. The smartest collectors know that fortunes don't always begin with gold or silver. Sometimes they begin with a single copper coin hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. And before you leave, here's one final question. What if the next coin sitting unnoticed in your collection is even rarer than this one? In our next video, we'll uncover another ultra-rare Lincoln Wheat Penny with an astonishing history, a remarkable mint error, and a market value that has stunned collectors nationwide. You won't want to miss that incredible story. What if I told you that a single 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny hiding in an old coin jar could be worth more than a luxury mansion? Most people see an old penny and spend it without a second thought. Collectors see something completely different. They see history, rarity, and sometimes a life-changing discovery. Every day, thousands of valuable coins quietly disappear into circulation because someone assumes they're only worth 1 cent. That simple mistake has cost people fortunes. Before you ignore another old penny, take a closer look. Because the coin we're uncovering today has surprised collectors for decades, and under the right conditions, a rare example with extraordinary characteristics has been associated with values reaching as high as $688,000 in elite numismatic discussions. The question is simple. Are you holding an ordinary penny, or the one that could completely change your financial future? The 1956 Lincoln Wheat Cent was struck at the Denver Mint during the final years of the famous Wheat Penny series. Millions were produced, making normal examples quite common. But experienced collectors know that coin collecting has never been about mintage numbers alone. The real value comes from exceptional preservation, remarkable minting errors, and tiny details that most people overlook. That's exactly why this coin continues to attract attention from serious collectors across America. Hidden among millions of ordinary examples are a handful of extraordinary coins that have become legends in the hobby. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln Wheat Cent had already become one of America's most recognizable coins by 1956. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln appears on the front, while two elegant wheat stalks frame the reverse design. At first glance, every 1956 wheat penny seems nearly identical. But appearances can be incredibly deceiving. Some of the rarest treasures ever discovered looked completely ordinary until an expert examined them under magnification. That is the fascinating reality of numismatics. Tiny imperfections created during the minting process can transform an everyday coin into a remarkable collectible. Now here's where things become truly interesting. If you own a 1956 Wheat penny, don't just glance at the date and toss it aside. Instead, inspect every detail carefully. Look closely at the mint mark beneath the date. Examine the lettering, the numbers, Lincoln's portrait, and especially the reverse wheat ears. Some of the most valuable examples display dramatic minting errors that collectors aggressively pursue. One of the most desirable possibilities is a strong repunched mint mark. During the 1950s, mint marks were punched into working dies by hand before striking began. Occasionally, the punch shifted slightly, creating multiple impressions of the D. Under magnification, this appears as additional outlines surrounding the mint mark. Strong examples can command substantial premiums because they represent genuine mistakes from the production process rather than damage after leaving the mint. Another fascinating variety involves die cracks and retained cuts. As coin dies wore down from repeated use, stress fractures sometimes developed across the die surface. These cracks transferred directly onto coins, creating raised lines that were never intended to exist. Larger die breaks, known as cuds, occur when pieces of the die actually break away. Collectors love these dramatic mint errors because every cracked die tells the story of machinery pushed beyond its limits. Now stop for just a moment. If you have a jar of old pennies sitting in your home, why not pause this video later and check it carefully? That forgotten container may have been collecting dust for years while quietly holding something extraordinary. Imagine discovering that one overlooked coin everyone else ignored. It happens more often than most people realize. Another highly collectible characteristic involves off-center strikes. During production, if a planchet failed to align perfectly beneath the striking dies, part of the design would be missing while the remaining details appeared sharply struck. Depending on how dramatic the misalignment is and whether the full date remains visible, these errors often become highly desirable among collectors. Every off-center strike is unique, making each surviving example its own individual piece of mint history. Collectors also search carefully for broad strikes. These occur when the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the coin to expand beyond its normal diameter. The result is a wider coin with flattened rims and a noticeably different appearance. Broad strikes immediately capture attention because they look dramatically different from normal cents, and well-preserved examples continue to perform strongly in specialized auctions. Another prized feature is the clipped planchet error. Before striking, blank discs are punched from long metal strips. Occasionally, the punch overlaps a previous hole, leaving part of the blank missing. The finished coin displays a distinctive curved clip along its edge. Authentic clipped planchets possess diagnostic characteristics that grading professionals use to confirm their originality, making them especially appealing to advanced collectors. Perhaps the most exciting discoveries involve double die characteristics. While no famous major double die variety is universally recognized for the 1956 Wheat cent like the legendary 1955 issue, subtle hubbing abnormalities can still produce noticeable doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. Careful examination under proper lighting sometimes reveals details invisible to the naked eye. That is why knowledgeable collectors rarely dismiss any wheat penny without close inspection. Here's something many beginners never consider. The condition of the coin can be just as important as the error itself. Two identical pennies may have dramatically different values simply because one spent decades in circulation while the other remained untouched inside an old collection. Coins graded mint state with blazing original red surfaces are significantly scarcer than brown circulated examples. Every tiny mark, scratch, fingerprint, or cleaning attempt can affect collector demand. And here's a question worth asking. How many people unknowingly cleaned valuable coins with household polish because they wanted them to look shiny? Unfortunately, countless rare coins have lost substantial value that way. In numismatics, originality often matters far more than brightness. A naturally preserved coin almost always attracts stronger interest than one altered by improper cleaning. Professional grading plays a major role in determining value. Independent grading services carefully authenticate, evaluate, and encapsulate important coins. These certified grades provide buyers with confidence, especially when thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars are involved. Small differences in grade can create astonishing price differences. A coin moving from one mint state level to the next may experience a dramatic increase in market value if the population becomes exceptionally scarce. Now let's talk about the market itself. Rare coin collecting has evolved into a global investment category. Wealthy collectors, investors, and historical enthusiasts compete for elite examples with exceptional eye appeal and certified rarity. Auction houses regularly witness spirited bidding wars whenever a genuinely outstanding Lincoln wheat cent appears. Competition intensifies because once an extraordinary coin enters a long-term collection, it may disappear from the market for decades. This brings us to the remarkable figure that has captured so much attention. Under extremely rare circumstances, involving exceptional preservation, significant mint errors or unique characteristics, and top-tier professional certification, discussions surrounding elite Lincoln wheat cents have reached astonishing price levels. For an extraordinary 1956 D wheat penny possessing truly exceptional qualities, estimates have circulated approaching an incredible $688,000. It is important to understand that this represents an exceptional scenario rather than the value of an ordinary circulated coin. Most examples trade for far less, but extraordinary rarity has always rewritten the rules of the marketplace. Think about that for a moment. A coin originally worth 1 cent could potentially rival the value of luxury homes, exotic automobiles, or retirement portfolios. That incredible possibility continues to fuel America's fascination with pocket change treasure hunting. Every estate sale, inherited collection, garage sale, and forgotten coffee can filled with old pennies carries the possibility of an unexpected discovery. Here's another attention reset. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your wallet? Not counted them, really looked at them. Most people never do. They rush through life treating pennies as insignificant. Collectors understand that history often hides in plain sight. Sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest surprise. The excitement surrounding the 1956 D wheat penny is about more than money. It represents a connection to American history, craftsmanship, and the fascinating imperfections of the minting process. Every error tells the story of human machinery, worn dies, split-second production mistakes, and decades of survival. These coins become tiny time capsules that have traveled through countless hands before finally being recognized for what they truly are. As demand for premium Lincoln wheat cents continues growing, competition among serious collectors shows little sign of slowing. Population reports demonstrate that the finest certified examples remain extraordinarily limited. Basic economics takes over from there. When supply remains fixed and collector demand increases, prices often follow. That reality explains why experienced numismatists continue searching through rolls, collections, and inherited boxes of old coins with unwavering determination. Before you dismiss another worn wheat penny, remember this lesson. The difference between 1 cent and hundreds of thousands of dollars often comes down to details invisible at first glance. A tiny minting error, a remarkable state of preservation, an overlooked variety. Those seemingly insignificant characteristics have transformed ordinary coins into legendary collectibles time and time again. So before you spend another old penny, give it the attention it deserves. Examine the date. Look for the Denver Mint mark. Inspect the lettering, the rims, the wheat ears, and every surface under bright light or magnification. That few minutes of curiosity could become the most profitable coin inspection of your life. And if today's story amazed you, don't miss what's coming next. In our next episode, we'll uncover another ultra-rare Lincoln wheat penny that many collectors have searched for over decades. A mysterious coin with an incredible error that has stunned auction houses and left experts speechless. You won't want to miss that remarkable discovery.